Hi, and welcome back to another AI in 5. I'm your host, Simon Chris, and joining me today from Sydney is Michelle Gilmore. Michelle's the CEO of Juno, and we're going to be talking about how AI is disrupting the quant and qual research field. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to AI in 5. Thanks for joining us.
You're so welcome.
Now, we're going to jump into a topic, and it's a topic I love. It's about using AI in research. And in particular, we hear these terms quant and qual. Really quickly, what is that?
Sure. So, from a sort of technology agnostic point of view, quantitative research has always been about large sample sizes and learning the what about something. So percentages, quantification. You get a lot of people to answer a question,
Yep.
and you are able to quantify that sample. So we see
In other
thousands
words, survey monkey.
surveys.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the way that traditionally we have been able to gather that kind of data. It's
Yep.
shallow and it's broad.
Yep.
Qualitative tends to be very deep but thin. So you
Mm.
speak to less people and you go very deep. You understand why, you understand reasoning. And traditionally, you had to, most of the time, depending on the context, but you had to commission quant and qual to really get a good sense of a problem.
Okay.
Quant didn't give you the why, and qual didn't necessarily give you sample sizes that were statistically relevant.
And so, how's AI disrupting that?
Well, we no longer need humans to go and conduct qualitative research in the field. So we have experts like myself that have built agents to
Mm-hmm.
go and speak to people on the customer's behalf, which means that we're no longer paying between $500 and $1,200 a head. So we can have hundreds of conversations at once all around the world in 70 languages. And
Wow.
we're able to use the humans for the strategic thinking. We can add quantitative questions into the qualitative interviews. And so we no longer have to delineate.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about 70 languages you could essentially pull because AI is going to translate as it goes. Okay, all right, you're already starting to screw with my head.
It's worth noting that qualitative research has traditionally privileged Western dominant culture and has
Mm.
been done in English. I myself have done about 7,000 interviews around the world, and about 30% of those were not in English. But I had cultural coaches and translators. When I worked in India,
Yeah.
I had five cultural coaches, one translator, and two interpreters to make sure
Wow.
that I was accurately and honestly translating and interpreting what I was hearing from people. And
Wow.
we no longer have to do that. And that's really important because budgets don't need to be what they were, but also we're hearing from people that maybe we've never heard from before.
Yeah, that's critical. That's important,
It's really exciting.
particularly where AI is going. Yeah, outside of the business, the obvious business, marketing wants to understand this or something, the type things. How else is this being applied? How else is it being used?
Well, Juno is really for anyone that wants to know something from another human.
Okay.
If you could ask a human about their experience, sentiment, opinion on something, you could ask Juno to do that for you. We are seeing childcare centres using it to ask parents their opinion.
Okay.
We have done some political polling. We had a local RSL use it to ask patrons about their menu. They were
Wow.
recently using feedback forms, and everyone was just telling them that they loved the menu. And in fact, they got a lot of interesting data to the contrary when they used Juno and they changed the menu the next week, and they were able to increase revenue by 30%. So we
Yeah.
are seeing a breadth of use cases, but the commonality between those is I have a question or something I want to know from people, and I'm going to use Juno to go and conduct semi-structured interviews to get that data out.
Are you seeing anybody use it in a two-tier approach? So I'm going to ask a few things, form a hypothesis, and then go and test that hypothesis.
Absolutely. They're not singular. I think we're seeing probably 40 or 50% of the time there is a follow-on, or there's some brands that have just always got it on. So
Yeah.
the Foundation have been using Juno for about 9 months now, and they've never turned it off.
Never
Uh,
turned it off. Yeah.
yeah, so that's really interesting if you think about Juno is essentially your agent, your research capacity that feeds that sentiment data to your internal teams.
Yeah, and are most people that are doing this type of research, are they doing it text based? You know, the power of the thumbs, or are they doing it voice type based? What are you predominantly saying?
So it's at the moment, it sort of depends on which region you're talking about. Australia is mostly text, but as you start to move into other countries that have higher technical adoption, you see more voice being used. I think that we'll see
Mm,
that drastically change over the months and years to come. With Juno, you can use both. And we will also see other modalities. I think that
mm.
format and medium and modality is not going to matter soon.
Yeah, wow. Well, we're at time. 5 minutes goes so fast.
Oh.
I ask everybody the same question. I'm going to ask it of you. Really quickly, what would be for an organization that's just starting their AI journey, wherever that is, what would be your one bit of advice, or what should they be thinking about or doing?
I think that we need to remember that this is deeply human. We need to put subject matter experts, those with deep domain expertise, in a place where they are evaluating outcomes. We need to remember that we should be purpose led. We need to
Mm.
keep on asking ourselves and reminding ourselves that just because technology can do something doesn't mean it should. And we need to make sure that we privilege quality. I'm not sure that we need more crap in the world.
Yeah, look, great advice, Michelle. Thank you so much for being a part of AI in 5.